Hello, my friends. Welcome again. I'm so happy you're here today. I have something very special to share with you. This is not just a story. It is a real experience, something that truly happened in my life. It changed everything, and maybe it can change your life too. Before I start, let me ask you something. Do you ever feel stuck in your English journey? Do you sometimes feel like no matter how hard you try, you are not improving? Maybe you watch videos, read lessons, or listen to podcasts, but still, when it's time to speak, you freeze. You feel shy, you forget words, you doubt yourself. I understand this feeling because I lived it too. There was a time when I felt completely lost. I wanted to learn English so badly, but I didn't know how. I was trying, but there was no real progress. I didn't have a plan or a system. Every day I started with energy and ended with disappointment. My dream of speaking English confidently was slowly fading away. Then one day something changed. I came across a simple idea, something so small that it almost sounded silly. It was called the 1-hour rule. Just 1 hour a day. No big promises, no expensive courses, no magic solutions. Just a simple rule. Every day, give 1 full hour to English. At first, I didn't believe it. How can just 1 hour change my life when I've been struggling for years? But I had nothing to lose. I decided to try. That one decision, that one small step, became the turning point of my life. This story is about that change. It's about how one simple rule, 1 hour a day, helped me build confidence, discipline, and hope. And maybe, by the end of this story, it will inspire you to begin your own journey too. Before the 1-hour rule entered my life, things were not easy. I had been trying to learn English for years, but my journey was full of stops and starts. I would begin with excitement, telling myself, "This time I'll do it." But after a few days, my energy faded. I became lazy, distracted, or busy with other things. I always found an excuse to stop. Sometimes I spend hours watching grammar lessons or English tutorials on YouTube. I downloaded apps, joined online groups, and even tried reading English books. But nothing seemed to work for me. I understood some things. But when it came to speaking, my mind would go blank. I couldn't express my thoughts. I knew the words, but they didn't come out when I needed them. I remember sitting alone many times, wondering what was wrong with me. I thought maybe I was not smart enough, or maybe English just wasn't meant for me. I started comparing myself to others. I saw people speaking so fluently and confidently, and I felt small. I would think, why can they do it and I can't? Those thoughts broke my motivation again and again. There were days when I promised myself, from tomorrow I'll study seriously. But that tomorrow never came. One busy day turned into another, and my dream kept slipping further away. I started losing faith in myself. The more I tried, the more disappointed I became. And then, one day, something happened that completely shook me. It was a small moment, but it left a deep mark on my heart. I was standing in a small shop near my house when a foreign customer came in. He smiled and asked me a simple question in English. I understood what he said, but my tongue froze. My mind went blank. I wanted to reply, but no words came out. I stood there silently, embarrassed and nervous. After he left, I felt crushed. I kept thinking, why couldn't I say even one simple sentence? That night I lay awake in bed, replaying that moment over and over in my head. My heart was heavy. I had been trying for so long, yet I was still afraid to speak. That night was the turning point, the night I decided that something had to change. That night, after the incident at the shop, I couldn't sleep. My mind was restless, filled with questions and self-blame. I kept asking myself, why can't I speak? Why am I not improving even after trying so hard? I felt lost, almost ready to give up on my dream. But instead of sleeping, I picked up my phone and started searching. I typed, "How to learn English fast." I scrolled through dozens of articles, blogs, and videos. Everyone had different advice. Some said to join expensive courses, others suggested memorizing long word lists, and a few promised fluency in 30 days. None of it felt real. Then, among all those complicated tips, one simple line caught my attention. It said, "Give just 1 hour every day to English and your life will change." I stopped. I read it again. Only 1 hour? No long plans, no pressure, no expensive materials, just 1 hour every day? It sounded too easy to be true. I didn't know why, but that one sentence stayed with me. It felt honest. It felt possible. I sat quietly for a while thinking about it. I realized that maybe I had been making English harder than it really was. I was chasing perfection instead of building consistency. I wanted big results without small daily steps. That's when it hit me. Maybe I didn't need a complicated plan. Maybe I just needed a routine. The next morning, I woke up with a different energy. I took my notebook, opened the first page, and wrote one line in bold letters. From today, I will give 1 hour to English every single day. No excuses. As I looked at that line, I felt something strong inside me, a quiet promise to myself. It wasn't about learning fast anymore. It was about not giving up. I didn't know exactly what to study or how to spend that hour, but I knew I had to start. That one small decision marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life, the chapter that changed everything. The first day of my new journey felt exciting but uncertain. I had made a promise to myself, 1 hour every day, but I didn't know where to begin. I sat at my study table, opened my notebook, and set a timer for 60 minutes. My heart was beating fast, but I told myself, just start. I went to YouTube and searched for easy English stories. I found one video with slow, clear pronunciation and clicked play. At first, I didn't understand every word. My mind kept wandering and I felt a little frustrated. But then I reminded myself of the promise. No excuses. So I paused the video, replayed it, and listened again. This time, I focused carefully. I repeated some sentences out loud, copying the speaker's voice. It felt awkward, but it helped. That was my first hour. When the timer ended, I smiled. It wasn't perfect, but I had started, and that alone made me proud. The next day, I did the same. I listened again, different video, same focus. I wrote down new words in my notebook. I practiced saying them. I didn't rush, I just enjoyed the process. On the third day, I started to look forward to my English hour. It began to feel like my personal time, peaceful, focused, and meaningful. But on the fifth day, I almost gave up. I had a long, tiring day. My head hurt, and I told myself, maybe I'll skip today. But then, I opened my notebook and saw the sentence I had written. No excuses. Those 2 words pushed me back. I told myself, even if I do just a little, I won't break my promise. So I sat down, played a short 10-minute video, and repeated it 6 times. That was all, but it counted. I kept the chain unbroken. By the 7th day, something inside me had changed. English no longer felt like a difficult subject. It was becoming part of my daily life. I noticed small improvements. I could understand sentences faster, remember new words easily, and even form simple responses in my head. My fear started to fade. That first week taught me a lesson I will never forget. You don't need to do everything in one day. You just need to do something every day, one step at a time, 1 hour at a time. That's how progress begins. After 1 week of practicing the 1-hour rule, I realized something important. I needed a plan. Spending 1 hour daily was good, but I wasn't using it wisely. Some days I only listened. Other days I only watched videos. I needed balance, a system that could help me grow in every part of English. So one morning I sat with my notebook and divided the hour into 4 simple parts. 15 minutes for listening, 15 minutes for speaking, 15 minutes for reading, and 15 minutes for writing. That became my new structure, my English hour routine. I started with listening because I believed understanding comes first. I listened to short English stories, motivational talks, and daily conversations. I focused on the speaker's tone, pronunciation, and rhythm. Sometimes I close my eyes just to feel the words. It made me more confident in understanding real conversations. Then came speaking, the hardest part for me. I used to feel shy even when I was alone, but I reminded myself that fluency comes only with practice. So I began talking to myself in front of I described my day, my thoughts, or even repeated dialogues from movies. I laughed at my mistakes but didn't stop. Day by day, my hesitation started to fade. Next was reading. I picked short paragraphs from English books, blogs, or news articles. At first, I read slowly, but I made sure to understand the meaning of every line. Reading helped me learn sentence structure and natural expressions. I started to feel how English actually flows. And finally, writing. I wrote a short daily journal in English, just 5 to 6 lines about my day. I didn't care about grammar mistakes, I just wanted to express myself. Slowly, I began to notice how my words started to connect better, how my thoughts became clearer in English. Each part of that 1 hour became like a piece of a puzzle. Listening improved my understanding, speaking built my confidence, reading expanded my knowledge, and writing strengthened my memory. Together, they made a powerful circle of progress. That's when I truly understood the secret of learning. Discipline is stronger than motivation. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. A full month had passed since I made that little promise to myself, 1 hour every day, no excuses. I didn't skip even a single day. Some days were easy, others were tiring, but I stayed consistent. I didn't realize how fast time had flown until one evening, I looked back at my notebook and saw 30 full pages, pages filled with new words, short notes, daily reflections, and reminders to keep going. It felt incredible. Something had changed inside me, something quiet but powerful. My fear of English was slowly disappearing. The same language that once scared me was now becoming my friend. I started to enjoy listening to English videos without subtitles. I could catch words that I had learned earlier, and sometimes I even understood full sentences without translation. That feeling was magical, like unlocking a secret code. When I spoke, my voice still trembled a little, but the words came more easily. I could introduce myself, share my thoughts, or reply in small conversations without freezing. My pronunciation wasn't perfect, but I sounded more natural than before. I began to believe in myself again. One day, while talking to my cousin on a video call, I tried speaking a few sentences in English just casually. She looked surprised and said, "Wow, your English has improved so much. What course are you taking?" I smiled and said, "No course, just 1 hour a day." That moment made all my efforts worth it. Gradually, even in my daily life, I noticed a difference. When I saw English signs or heard people talking, I didn't feel lost anymore. I understood what they meant. My brain had started to think in English, not all the time, but enough to make me feel confident. The best part was how calm I felt. Earlier, learning English used to give me stress. Now it gives me peace. That 1 hour had become my time. It was no longer a task. It was a part of my lifestyle. At the end of the month, I didn't just gain better English. I gained discipline, patience, and faith in myself. I realized that growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, quietly, one consistent day after another. That's when I wrote a line at the bottom of my notebook page. Fluency isn't a goal. It's a journey. The second month began with full energy. I felt confident, motivated, and proud of my progress. But soon, life started to test me. One morning, I woke up late and had to rush to complete my daily chores. By the time I sat down, I was already tired. I looked at my notebook and thought, maybe I'll study tomorrow. That single thought felt harmless, but deep inside, I knew it was dangerous. Because skipping one day could easily turn into 2, and then into a week. Still, I couldn't focus that day. My mind was heavy, and my body just wanted to rest. I stared at my notebook for a few minutes and sighed, but then I remembered the promise I made: no excuses. So instead of doing a full hour, I decided to do something small. I played a 5-minute English podcast while folding laundry. It wasn't much, but it kept my chain unbroken. Then came another challenge: demotivation. After several weeks of effort, I felt like my improvement had stopped. I wasn't learning as fast as before. I began to doubt myself. Maybe I'm not talented enough. Maybe I'll never speak fluently. Those thoughts made me feel heavy again. But one evening, while scrolling YouTube, I found a quote that lifted me up. It said, "When you feel stuck, it means you're leveling up." That line gave me strength. I realized that growth isn't always visible. Sometimes you're improving silently. Even when progress slows down, consistency still builds strength. Another challenge came from distractions. Some days I get busy with family, social media, or guests. The day would pass, and I'd realize it was already night. But even then, before sleeping, I made sure to give at least 10 minutes to English, a short video, a small journal entry, anything, because I didn't want to break the habit I had built with so much effort. There were also emotional days when nothing felt right, when I missed my old comfort zone, or when I compared myself to others who spoke better English. Those comparisons hurt, but they also taught me something. Everyone has their own timing. You can't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. Slowly, I learned to be kind to myself. I accepted that mistakes were part of the journey. I understood that real progress comes with patience, not pressure. Through every struggle, tiredness, doubt, distractions, I kept one thing alive: discipline. That became my shield. And even on my weakest days, that one small hour reminded me who I wanted to become. Weeks passed, and something inside me began to change quietly. Without even realizing it, English had become a natural part of my daily life. I was no longer forcing myself to study, I was enjoying it. What once felt like a heavy task had now turned into a habit I actually looked forward to. I noticed it first in small ways. One day I was watching a movie, and suddenly I realized I was understanding full scenes without reading the subtitles. The dialogues made sense, not because I had memorized them, but because my ears had learned the rhythm of the language. It was a beautiful surprise. Another day, I was texting a friend and accidentally typed a full sentence in English, fluently, without translating in my head. I stopped for a second, stared at the message, and smiled. It felt unbelievable. The same me who once struggled to say even simple words was now expressing feelings in English with ease. Gradually, my 1-hour rule no longer felt like study time. It was a comfortable time. When I felt tired, I watched English vlogs to relax. When I was happy, I listened to English songs and understood the lyrics. When I was sad, I wrote my thoughts in English in my journal, and somehow it felt healing. English was no longer a subject I was learning, it had become a friend that listened to me. Confidence started to grow naturally. I stopped worrying about making mistakes. If I couldn't find the right word, I wouldn't panic. I just tried another way to say it. That freedom made me speak more easily. My mind started to think in English during small moments while cooking, walking, or even before sleeping. The language that once scared me was now part of my inner voice. Then came one moment I'll never forget. I was at a family gathering, and someone asked me to translate a short English paragraph for them. Without hesitation, I read it aloud and explained it clearly. When I finished, everyone looked surprised. One of my cousins said softly, "You've really improved." I smiled not because of the compliment, but because I finally felt it too. All those early mornings, late nights, and small efforts had built something unshakable inside me: confidence. That day, I realized something important. When you stay consistent long enough, what once feels like pressure eventually becomes peace. Once English became a part of my daily life, I felt something new, a quiet confidence that came from within. For the first time, I wasn't just proud of what I had learned. I was proud of how far I had come. The fear that once held me back had turned into motivation, and I started to wonder, what if my journey could help someone else too? So, one evening, I took out my phone, opened the camera, and started recording a short video. My hands trembled a little, my voice wasn't perfect, but my heart was honest. I said, "I wasn't born fluent in English. I struggled, I failed, I hesitated. But I promised myself 1 hour every day, and that promise changed my life." When I posted that video, I didn't expect anything special. But within hours, people started commenting. Those comments touched my heart. I realized that there were so many people who felt just like I once did: scared, unsure, and desperate to improve. They didn't need perfect grammar or fancy words. They needed hope. They needed to know that progress was possible. So, I started sharing more, small tips, my favorite learning methods, and even my mistakes. I talked about the days I felt lazy, the times I cried, and the little victories that made me smile. Every story I shared reminded someone out there that they were not alone. Slowly, my small journey began to inspire others. People from different countries messaged me saying, "Your story gave me courage." Each message felt like a blessing. It made me realize that learning isn't just about improving yourself, it's about lifting others too. One night, while reading those kind comments, tears came to my eyes. I remembered the girl who once searched on Google, "How to learn English fast," feeling lost and hopeless. And now, that same girl was giving others the motivation she once needed herself. That moment changed something inside me forever. I understood that our struggles have meaning. They prepare us to guide others through their darkness. Sharing my story didn't just help others, it made me stronger. Every time I spoke about my journey, I reminded myself how far I'd come, how much I'd grown, and how consistency can truly transform a person's life. And that's when I realized English was never just a language for me. It became a bridge, connecting hearts, stories, and dreams across the world. Looking back now, I realize that the 1-hour rule was never just about learning English, it was about learning life. When I started, I thought I was only improving my language. But day by day, something deeper was happening. I was building patience, self-discipline, and faith in myself. There were days when I didn't feel motivated at all. There were nights when I felt tired and thought, maybe I should skip today. But every time I opened my notebook and saw my promise, 1 hour every day, no excuses, something inside me refused to give up. That simple sentence became my strength. The 1-hour rule taught me that real change doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from doing something every day. It taught me that consistency is stronger than motivation, and small steps can create big results. I learned that even if you move slowly, what matters most is that you keep moving. And the most beautiful part? That 1 hour a day didn't just make me fluent in English, it made me confident in life. It made me realize that if I can learn a new language with a small daily effort, then I can achieve anything I dream of, one step at a time. Today, when I speak in English, I don't just hear words. I hear my journey. I hear the early mornings, the late nights, the endless practice, and the courage to keep going when no one was watching. Every word I speak carries the story of my growth, my hope, and my determination. Now I tell everyone, if you want to change your life, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for motivation. Just start. Give yourself 1 hour. It might not seem like much today, but one day you'll look back and realize that one small decision changed everything. Because it's not just about English. It's about believing in yourself. It's about showing up even when it's hard. It's about writing your own story, 1 hour at a time. And maybe one day, when you speak confidently in English, when you share your story with the world, you'll smile and say, "It all began with just 1 hour a day." My dear friends, before I end today's story, I want you to pause for a moment and think, what if today could be your new beginning? What if just one small decision could completely change your life, the same way it changed mine? You don't need to wait for the right time or the right mood. You don't need perfect English or fancy tools. You only need one thing: commitment. Just promise yourself 1 hour a day. That's it. 1 hour to listen, to read, to speak, or to write. 1 hour to believe in yourself. Because every great change begins with one small step. 1 hour may not seem like much, but it's enough to build your confidence, to shape your habits, and to open doors you never imagined before. Every time you sit for 1 hour, remember, you're not just learning a language, you're building your future. And when you feel tired or hopeless, just remember my story. Remember that there was once someone who struggled just like you, but who didn't give up. If I can do it, you can too. If 1 hour a day could change my life, it can change yours as well. So, my friends, this is your time. Don't wait. Start today. Make your own promise. 1 hour every day. No excuses. Write it in your notebook. Say it out loud. Believe it in your heart. Because one day, you'll look back and smile, knowing that you did it, that you believed in yourself when no one else did. And when that day comes, you'll proudly say, "Just 1 hour a day changed my life too." Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it inspires you to begin yours. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing in the power of small steps.